God is changing lives just by being who He is. And we are the living proof. What would you say if after hearing your story, somebody said that they didn't believe you?
I've had people say that, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if someone doesn't believe my story because I'm not trying to prove myself right. My name is Caleb. I'm 25. I was born in Ohio, and then I moved out to Wisconsin when I was probably like 2 years old, I think, something like that, because my parents split. And long story short, my dad just kind of wanted to restart, so he moved out here because of my grandparents. A lot of people know who my grandparents are. So yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy. We moved out to their, they had a really big like log cabin looking house. They called it Prayer Valley. So we spent a lot of time there with 4-wheelers and 3-wheelers, which were so dangerous. I tipped. We were going on one of the trails and there's like a little dip. And I remember this too, like I was going too slow and I ended up just like tipping over, but I was like 6. So I didn't really know what I was doing. And my dad, he ended up just scoring a spot at the trailer park in Berry Mills right outside of West Salem. So I grew up there from when I was probably like around the same age, like 5. And up until I think I was 18 or 19 when I ended up moving to Holman with my old pastor. So I was there for years. We didn't grow up with a whole lot. You know, we had, my dad, honestly, he did his best and I love and appreciate him so much. As a single dad raising 2 boys who fought all the time, my brother and I used to fight all the time, like literally. And, but as I got older, especially when I got saved, like I realized the way that I behaved towards my brother was not okay. So that changed. But growing up, I was honestly, you could ask my dad, these are my dad's words. I'm not even like trying to gas myself up, but my dad, he said that I was always a good kid. Like growing up in like just in the house, even at school, not lashing out and like not disrespecting him or disobeying him. But when I turned 13 is when I started doing drugs. When I say that, I just mean smoking weed and popping pills and drinking alcohol. But I kind of tried it because my buds, they were doing it, so I thought it was cool. And eventually, like, I wanted to keep doing it because it felt good. But started at 13, and as I got older to like 16, it started to become a crutch that when I had a bad day either at work slinging dishes or at school and, you know, stuff like that, or just my thoughts getting to me and stuff, then that became a crutch. And eventually that's what I relied on all the time. So when I turned 17, I got saved. 17, I was a junior in high school, and it was fall, around October, and I was at my buddy's house and we were just doing a regular thing, smoking weed. But something that happened to me I've never really experienced was the fact that like I started to black out. I think I just smoked too much, so I wasn't breathing right or something, I don't know. So I started blacking out and started losing my vision and my hearing, and I was starting to freak out because I thought I was gonna die, but I was just, you know, I've never experienced that before. So, but I do know that the enemy was trying to get after me because he was flooding my head with thoughts of suicide, to go kill myself. And I knew, even though I wasn't like close with the Lord, I knew that that wasn't me and that I didn't want that. So at the time, probably a few months prior to this happening in October, my buddy, he's like an older brother to me, he was sowing seeds of faith in my heart because he ended up getting saved. So when all that was going down and I was blacking out and stuff, I whispered under my breath, I accept you as Lord and Savior. I didn't think about it, it just kind of came out because I was scared. I was backed into a corner, is what it felt like. And so immediately those things went away. And so I went to sleep that night and I had a dream slash vision that was incredibly real, and it was more real than like right now, and I was aware and I was conscious. So everything was really black, and then everything got really white, and I was standing in a room, but it felt like an incredibly big room. It just felt like a room, And so I'm standing there with my head bowed and my eyes closed, and in front of me is a person that when I looked up, I could see through my eyelids because it was so bright that like it was burning my eyes, but I could see who I believed to be Jesus, and I could see the outline of his head and his shoulders. And he didn't have to tell me his name. I just knew. I don't know, when you're in his presence, you just know that it's the Lord. And so he spoke to me, and I don't know what he said because he was speaking in a different language, but his voice was so deep and masculine and almost scary, but at the same time was very soothing. And his presence was incredibly overwhelming, but at the same time, I didn't want to leave at all. And I always describe it as like in the fall or transitioning from winter to spring, when the sun is shining through the window and you put your hand in the light, you can kind of feel that warmth on your skin. But it was like that all over my body. And in the background was a violin just playing a single note, and that was like my favorite sound. So I think he did that to kind of put me at ease because it was kind of intimidating. So yeah, after I woke up, I was a completely different person. My heart was changed, my mindset was changed, and I apologized to everyone who I was ever a jerk to. And of course, I didn't beat people up and take their money, but I disrespected people, and the way that I spoke to people wasn't acceptable. And my performance in school changed. I did try to apply myself even though I didn't like it. So my attitude changed about everything, my work ethic, the way that I dressed, the way that I talked. Everything about me changed. And one of my buddies who was really close to me at that time, he was an atheist, and he even admitted, like, dude, you are like different from one day to the next. So I told him my testimony, and him and I spent a lot of time together. So I pray that one day he gets saved. But simply put, I think that people should know that he is our Savior because of whether a drug addiction or whether people are caught in depression or people are caught in anxiety and so on and so forth. He can take that from you. But the Lord is so different. The way that he does things is so different. And what's funny is even though you're dealing with something, you have to go through it. I would say like 9 times out of 10, he doesn't just take it away from you. You go through it, but going through it, you grow in relationship with him and trust with him, and your heart becomes closer to his, which if something like that comes back up again, whether depression, anxiety, or drugs or whatever, then it won't have such a grip on you, and you're just sharper and wiser in the Lord.
You mentioned in your story that you had a friend that was saved and was planting seeds of faith in your life. Can you elaborate on that? Like, what kind of seeds were they planting and how were they doing it?
Yeah, at the time, he got me my Bible, my first Bible that I've got since being saved. I've had one growing up, but I never really used it. So that thing's all marked up and everything. And him and I would have Bible studies before I got saved, but I did it out of respect for him because I respected him and valued him. So he was planting seeds in my life of the word and of faith, and without me realizing it. And luckily he did, because when I got backed into a corner, that kind of came out.
Have you ever felt any temptation to return to any of your old habits that God saved you from?
Interesting that you asked that, because I was talking to a friend of mine, and something that I realized when I got saved, I had no knowledge of anything. I didn't have language for anything. I didn't know what conviction was. I didn't know that there were different denominations within Christianity, so I thought that was weird. But when I got saved, I didn't have any desire to get drunk or smoke weed or anything, even though I did try that a few times afterwards, and I was being convicted. I didn't know that's what that was, but I was being convicted, and so eventually the Lord kind of weeded that out of my life. The one thing that I would want people to take from my story is the fact that if you seek God's heart and you seek his kingdom and his righteousness, everything else will follow, and you will not miss if you seek him.